Hey, everybody, and welcome to Fresh Set. I'm Sabrina,
And I'm Kevin.
and we're back
We're back. Closer, a little
with
closer.
closer and some real, I mean, not everything's real, but
Cars
like,
on track.
yeah, cars on
Cars on
track.
track.
We are, real content of what's really happening right now with the cars. And it was our first look at the 2025,
Fives. Yeah. 2025s.
the 2025
I saw you
cars.
going to 26 there. I'm like, wait,
Yeah.
we're not there yet.
Yeah. 2025 cars, what the teams have done. We saw the liveries, but now we are actually seeing design.
Finding every little extra air vent that they're throwing in there, or fake air vents
Or
from what I saw.
faking air
Yeah.
vents,
Little paint
which
in there.
which is weird. So we are,
It sounded like such a childish thing when I saw it too.
yeah,
Like they painted on an air vent, like nobody's gonna notice.
like I just okay. Anyways, so we just are gonna go over preseason testing, which happened this past week. It was over 3 days. It was in Bahrain, and it was interesting. It was at ridiculous hours for us, first of all.
Yeah, I missed every first section. I wasn't. There's no way. Was it 2 a.m.?
2 a.m. and then 7 a.m. for us.
Yeah.
But I think just kind of jumping right into it, we've had some bizarre things in testing, qualifying, what have you. But this weekend, it was just 2 red flags in preseason testing. It doesn't often happen.
One of them was because they didn't pay their electric bill. I mean,
yes.
all the lights just shut off. All the paddock,
Yeah.
the lights around the whole circuit, all just shut off just before sun went down.
Yeah.
So they couldn't really run. Even in the garage, all the lights were off, so they couldn't even really work in the cars. You had the Ferrari mechanics using flashlights, and it took a long time. It took an hour before they actually started running again.
Yeah,
especially
so
because
much
we
so
went
that
into nighttime.
so much so that they had to extend another training or testing session for an hour. But hey, we had a bus on track.
Yeah, which all the memes were Alpine's testing their new car this year.
Yeah,
which is wholly unfair because they look pretty good.
Yeah,
they don't look bad.
They look pretty good this weekend. I mean, it wasn't the weekend, but this looked like a tour bus of some sort. Just somehow found its way onto the track, which was weird. I mean, I think we were on board with Gasly, and then it kind of came up. Something was wrong, and then he had to pull out from his lap, and then there was a bus just driving,
just coming out,
and then the bus like stopped, and it was like, oh, this is not the road.
Am I not supposed to go here?
Am I not?
There was another meme where it was just Pirelli checking if the wheels on the bus actually do go round and round.
That's a good one. I didn't see that. That's a good one.
That was a good one.
That is good. We had side pods flying off cars.
Just completely ripped off.
Yeah.
Just it was the
Ollie Beerman
of Ollie Beerman, yeah. And when asked about it later, he said it's not supposed to do that. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
We know that.
It was kind of weird how it fell off or opened and then was like
well, yeah, it looked like there was like, and I thought maybe because I know like especially on seams they tend to tape them down. I don't know if there's something that wasn't taped down properly where air was getting underneath and it just wasn't riveted properly or however they secure these things, and it just kind of came off like it was just being pulled apart by the wind.
Yeah. Nice big hole in the side of their car. Great.
That's what you want start. Is repairs before the season starts. Yeah.
Yeah. Great start to the season. We had rain in Bahrain, which is not always normal there.
No, I'm pretty sure in Bahrain they do a lot of cloud seeding where they actually create rain.
Yeah.
So this was not a scheduled rain.
Right. Scheduled rain.
Well, that's what they schedule. They will schedule it. They will tell people when it's going to rain. This wasn't that. It just started to rain.
Yeah, which again, they try and have these testings in places where they're not going to run into things like rain or buses on track. Yeah. But things happen. And then, I mean, that was kind of it in terms of weird things. Did anything else weird?
Weird? No. We saw Liam go off track. On day, was it session 1 of day 1?
Session 1, day 1, because he was in session 1.
Yes. So they, he went off track. Not much. He spun out.
Yeah.
He didn't hit anything. He didn't damage anything. Just trying to get I think he was the only one to spin out this weekend, wasn't he?
No, Charles.
Or was there another one?
I think Charles spun.
Okay, I didn't see that one.
I think Charles spun. Or Lewis. I think it was Lewis, because then they were showing a side-by-side of the last time that he spun.
But that's when he hit something in Merritt. Oh, in Bahrain.
I think so. Anyways.
So he's having some trouble getting that car in this year, which makes great sense for my predictions. But great.
All right. So how testing works is over 3 days, they have different sessions. They have the morning session and then the afternoon session where they split up the drivers. So, for example, Lewis would drive in the morning session and Charles would drive in the afternoon, and then maybe the next day it would be the other way around. I don't know if teams have a method to their madness of why they choose who goes in the morning and in the afternoon. I don't know.
Well, it really depends. I think it depends on how many laps they want to do, because I know Red Bull had both on Wednesday, but they had Lawson all day Thursday and Max all day Wednesday. So it really depends. I think Williams did the same thing. Usually they'll double them up, but
so and then that's kind of how they do it. And then by the end of the day, this is really just for teams to kind of get an idea. As a Formula One fan, you kind of have to remember it's just testing, because some people will be on top and their times look great. It doesn't necessarily mean that it will translate to the season. Sometimes it does.
Spoiler, when we see the best of the 3 days, they're likely not going to be the best. A lot of teams hold back. It's really just about data on. It's essentially like wind tunnel testing and testing the tires, which is weird, which was a little bit off this year, because you do it especially in a place like Bahrain where you're supposed to get a little bit of warmer weather. They're wearing winter coats. It was cold. Yeah. So their tire data is not going to be reminiscent of when they get to warmer climates and racing through the summers in some places. So it's going to be interesting to start the first 3, 4, 5 seasons. Races. I was going to say episodes. Races.
We'll get there.
When we get into actual racing and actual pushing.
Yeah. And another thing that you would have, if you watched, you would have noticed there was this green foam.
Depending on the color of your car. Yeah. I saw red this year.
Yeah, I did see the red one.
Which was on the Williams.
Worried about what that was.
They just hit a bunch of pigeons.
Yeah. So they had, it's
Flowbiz.
Foam.
No, it's Flowbiz. It's paint.
Yeah.
It's paint. They literally take it off a can or wherever in a bucket, and they paint it on with a brush, and it's just a very fluorescent, bright color that's not anywhere near your livery color. Yeah. And it's viscous, just so they can see how air is flowing over your body. Yeah. The body of the car. It's not George doing this. Just with the Michael Jackson,
he would be the one that would be flowing over.
That white shirt flowing in the
back. So we're just gonna run through not the actual timings, but the top 5 of each session. So day 1 morning session, we have, and I'll just run through them 1 to 5. Kimi Antonelli with the fastest time, Liam Lawson in 2nd, Alex Albon in 3rd, Yuki Tsunoda in 4th, and Lewis Hamilton in 5th. Again, before we get crazy, it is just testing, and it doesn't mean, there's still 10 drivers that were missing from being on track at that point as well too. So just keep that in mind. Day 1 p.m., so the afternoon, second testing or session of the day, is going to be the final. So both morning and afternoon timings put together. So for the day, on day 1, we have Lando Norris in first, George Russell in second, Max Verstappen in third, Charles Leclerc in fourth, and Carlos Sainz in fifth in the Williams. Those are kind of the names that we're thinking we're going to see in that area. Yeah. Again, still just testing, so we're not sure.
Well, aside from Carlos Sainz, we're not really expecting him to be in a Williams in fifth.
No, in fifth, no. But anything could happen. So going into day 2, the morning session, we have Lewis in first place, George, Carlos, Pierre Gasly, and then Fernando Alonso in fifth. Day 2, afternoon, final for the day, Carlos Sainz, Lewis Hamilton, Charles Leclerc, George Russell, and then Kimi Antonelli. So we've got 2, I was about to say 3. We've got 3 Mercedes, but we've got 2 Mercedes, up there, which is good for them. And then day 3 morning, we have Charles Leclerc, Kimi Antonelli, Lando Norris, Max Verstappen, and Jack Doohan in fifth. So good for him but he's got to be putting up some time. So he's got a little bit of pressure on him. So good to see his name up there. And then in the afternoon, we had George Russell, Max Verstappen, Alex Albon, Oscar Piastri, which is our first time seeing Oscar in the top 5 for all the 3 days. And then Pierre Gasly in fifth. So a bit of a mix, kind of some names that we're
bit of a mix, but we're gonna have like the same players. I mean, you see the same cars, really.
Yeah.
I mean, other than which, I'm surprised you're actually seeing the Williams in there several times in the top 5 over the 6 sessions. Yeah. But you're seeing at least one Red Bull mostly. Right. You're seeing a couple of Mercedes, a couple of McLarens, and a couple of Ferraris.
Yeah.
Not much different from what we're used to seeing.
No.
Over the season, really.
Yeah.
But we are seeing a couple of those rookies kind of start popping up. You're seeing Kimi and Jack quite a bit. Yeah. Well, Jack one time, but
it's still good to see Kimi in the Mercedes doing well. Yuki, not a rookie, but Yuki being up there.
Rookie sized.
Rookie sized. Fun sized. But for overall, the 3 days, they always give, the fastest. There's no fastest lap anymore, but they give the fastest time over the 3 days. And Carlos Sainz.
Fastest lap, is Carlos.
With his day 2, one of his laps on day 2 with a 1:29.
3:48.
Yeah, 3:48.
And Lewis was right up there. He was 3/100ths of a second behind.
Yeah.
But he's almost a tenth ahead of Charles.
Yeah.
In the Ferrari.
I mean,
which again, we're expecting that they're sitting back a little bit. They're not going at full qualifying pace.
Right. Really. And I mean, a 1:29 is great. That's probably one of the slower tracks, a time of 1:29. So for a qualifying session, I should say. Yeah. So that's going to change. Yes, it's good to see a Williams up that high, Carlos Sainz up that high, but it's just testing.
Well, and we see, it is just testing, but we see also Alex still in the 1:29s, 0.3 of a second slower than Carlos, but he's in 6th, just behind Max. We don't see another Red Bull in there. We only see the one, like Lando's not even in here in the top 10, which it's skewed timings because Lance Stroll is 10th and Alonso is in like 18th. But I don't know. It kind of just seems to me like we saw Williams last year not be great. Take a step back. Mm-hmm. First year with James Vowles, but he wasn't. I mean, he took over as team principal it would have been December or January or whenever he was allowed to take over as team principal at that point.
Yeah.
He's now had his hand in not just being team principal, but also the development of this year's car, right? And the direction of where they're going. So maybe you're starting to see, I mean, he's a very smart individual. He knows what works. Yeah. He's very good at perceiving what other teams are doing, really. And maybe taking some ideas from there. What does work? What doesn't work? Where can we change? How does it work with our car? So maybe you're starting to see a lot of the James Vowles influence in there. Maybe that's why he had so much swagger in his step when he walked out in F175.
Yeah. I mean, and he's someone that and maybe it's just because we see it with Williams and they're being very transparent with their behind the scenes. But we see James Vowles in the factory. We see him hanging around and seeing what's going on. So, and again, I can't speak if Christian is doing the same thing or if Toto is doing the same thing. But we see he's very hands-on. So like you said, if he had any foot in this, I mean, this was the year we're really going to see that.
Yeah. So, and it looks like it's showing. We'll see in the first few races, but it seems to be, and now there's same thing with, rumors around the paddock from reports that I've seen from other reporters is that, if you don't mind me going into this, but if you go into who everybody kind of thinks the pecking order is now, the timing's kind of indicative of that, but everybody thinks that McLaren's still going to be the top car there, that they're not showing they're not showing their full potential there in testing. It looks like to them that Red Bull and Mercedes are right behind them in second and third or interchangeable there. And that Ferrari is just behind those two. And then in fifth and sixth, they believe that it's Alpine Williams, which we haven't heard in a long time. I mean, Alpine went from being the heaviest car, the slowest car at the beginning of last year to being in conversation for 5, 6, the top of that midfield. And same thing with Williams. Williams, everybody thought would have been a little bit better. They fell off completely, and now it looks like they're right back up there.
Yeah, and it's funny because, like you said, Alpine being the heaviest car, so much so that at their livery launch last year, it was just carbon fiber. It was just
they
pretty much
all paint. Yeah,
it was just a black car. But yeah, I mean, I think I did see that as well, and I think unless McLaren does something ridiculous to their car, I think they've figured out where they're supposed to be, and they know what to do. So I think I would probably agree with that. I think McLaren's going to be the one to chase. Which one? Don't know right now, but I mean, we think it's going to be Lando. But
if we look at testing times from last year compared to this year, I mean, we have whatever. It's RB hasn't really gained. They've all gained a little bit. RB's gained about 0.2 of a second, Stake 0.4, which is quite a bit. Ferrari's gained about half a second. Mercedes gained about 0.8. Aston Martin's gained 0.9. Haas is getting 0.9. McLaren's at 1 second. Red Bull's at 1.1 seconds. Williams has gained 1.5 seconds, and Alpine's gained 2 seconds over their testing time last year. That's not insignificant. Wow. Now, yes, these teams, like especially the higher teams, were already miles ahead, so that's a big gap to cover. But that's 2 seconds is nothing to sneeze at.
No, I mean it's everybody kind of looks good.
Yeah. It's gonna be a lot closer this year.
Yeah. I was a little shocked with, and we didn't put their placement, but Haas, for the steps that they took up, they weren't really involved in anything. Their numbers weren't the greatest.
No.
Just testing. The side pod ripped off the car, so that's going to mess things up for them. But I was surprised that they weren't a little bit more in the mix, but again, we're just seeing what's going on.
We're also looking at, you lose that consistency from Hülkenberg, who can put a consistent lap together.
Yeah.
You're looking at Ocon's getting used to a new car. Behrman, who's hasn't even driven. Did he drive in that car? Yes, he did for Magnussen last year.
Yeah.
But it's probably a little bit different. Who knows?
Yeah.
It could change by the time we get to it. Haas didn't really show up until a third into the season last year.
Yeah.
Maybe.
Yeah.
So who knows?
Yeah. We will see for sure. And then just quickly, I just want to run through total testing laps. From they kind of just rank who did the most. Does it mean something? Yes, for some teams, no for the others. But we have Mercedes topping that with 458 laps over the 3 days. So, I mean, these guys put in work. Yeah. Haas, 457. RBs put in 454, Alpine 405, Williams 395, Ferrari 382, McLaren 381, Kick Sauber 354, Aston Martin 306, and then Red Bull 304. So, I mean, I thought Red Bull would do a little bit more considering they didn't win the constructors last year, but maybe they were satisfied with what they ran and got their details. But
I see Max just thinking probably, whatever. I'm done with this. This is not racing. Yeah. I don't care. I'll put in my minimum and I'm out.
Yeah.
I know Ferrari did I know Ferrari did a little bit less. I think they had some telemetry problems.
Yeah.
There was some confusion with what they were getting back from the car and their data. So I think they took a bit of time. I don't know if they finished all sessions, but they took a little bit of time off just to sort through some things. So that might lean toward why they did so little. I would have thought they would have had a lot more, especially with Lewis starting.
Yes, I thought so too.
Yeah.
But, I mean, hey.
I mean, who are we to judge? I'm not going to make any comments. Being a white man talking about what Lewis does and doesn't do. We'll get into that. I wasn't being racist. That's fine. I really was.
He's not being racist.
Anyway. Okay.
So moving on to, so that was preseason testing. That's really it. So we and the teams are pretty much done until 2 weeks from now. Yep. When they get the cars to Melbourne, which is race 1. Which Kevin has Oscar Piastri winning. Sure.
Home race, he's in a McLaren. I don't think I'm far off.
We'll see. I think you're close.
Didn't he win last year? I mean, the team made him win. Was it Australia?
It wasn't Australia, no.
Which one they make sure that Naito didn't pass him? I forget. Anyways. No, it wasn't. Whatever.
So yeah, we've got more to talk about. But next time, that we're going to see the cars on track, it will be in the first race of the season, which we're all excited about. But let's flip over to some news for now.
It's a quick bit of news before we get into everything I had to hear. They're adding another testing session starting in 2026. I don't know if you saw this or not.
I did not.
There will be 2 testing sessions next year. So they will start off in January in Catalonia, so Barcelona.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, which I figured they got away from Europe because it was winter.
Yeah.
But now they're going to add a winter session in Europe. Which doesn't make a lot of sense to me. I don't understand why you're going to go to Europe. I get it. Most of the cars are there. It's probably pretty easy. They're not going to do it in, England where most of their factories are because it's winter in England. But I don't understand what you're trying to pull from that data if it was already too cold in Bahrain this year.
Yeah.
In February.
Yeah. I mean, the only thing I don't know. I don't know why they would do. I mean, I can understand from the standpoint of these are cars that no one will know anything about these cars, and the 2026 everything's changing. But maybe they want to give them more time.
I don't know if it's just for 2026 or if it's going to be
going forward
on. But
okay,
it just says 2026 right now, so.
Interesting.
It's going to be a behind closed doors thing. So I don't know. Each team, it says here, must use 3 days they want within 5. It will be behind closed doors, and each team must use the 3 days they want within. So there's going to be a 5-day thing. They can use 3 days. Okay. So I don't know if it's going to be closed to each team. They're going to have blocks of time. But
interesting.
We'll see.
Interesting.
Yeah. So January 26th to the 30th.
Interesting. So then, okay. All right. Well, cool.
Yeah. Whatever.
Who knew?
But that's
all right. So news.
What are we looking at me? You're looking at me. So what do we want to start with here? Do you want to start? Well, so I mean, for all our gripes, I guess you can say about the let's get the FIA out of the way.
Okay.
Excuse me. So for all our gripes about the FIA, it came out. There was a rumor. I remember seeing it earlier in the week. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's completely confirmed yet, but it looks like Susie Wolff of the Wolff family, Toto Wolff's wife.
Toto's wife.
The president of president? Is that her title? Of the F1 Academy or
CEO? CEO. I think she might be president.
I don't know what her. Either way, she's at the top. At the F1 Academy, I don't know exactly what her title is. She is likely or possibly going. I'm sure this is all going to come out in interviews in the next couple of weeks, but challenge Ben for the role of FIA president, which elections are near the end of this year. I believe it's November or December. Yeah. Maybe it's the end of the season. Later on in this year.
Yes. So, I mean, I think there's two parts to this. I think one, yes, an election year is great for Formula One. They need it. I think Susie is well respected in the F1 community by all of the current drivers, past drivers. Men really respect Susie. Well,
I think in racing in general. I remember we got to remember this FIA spans multiple racing categories.
Yeah. So she brought F1 Academy. So, a group for women. I think she's done a lot. She knows racing. Yeah. So I think she's married to Toto Wolff. I think she would be a good challenger. Is it something that people are ready for? Well, if that's conflicting, is Toto going to have to step down then with conflict of interest?
So this is what I thought. So there's history here between Ben or the FIA and Susie Wolff and the Wolff family talking about their relationship and passing over information. Toto's called these allegations intimidatory and misogynistic, among other things.
Yeah.
Susie Wolff is a brilliant woman.
Yeah.
I could see, I have no problem with it. I think she'd be great in that position. I can see a lot of people standing up and claiming some kind of conflict.
Yes.
Mainly, well, I won't even say who, but I mean, because we've seen, other people talk about the, Red Bull and Racing Bulls, how it's not fair to have two teams in F1.
Yeah.
And especially because they can pull the next year parts from the other car if they wanted to.
Yeah.
I don't think that she would be. I think her integrity would not allow her to be biased toward one team or another.
Yeah.
But there's always going to be that question. I think it's going to make her job a lot harder, especially when penalties come down on another team that might be a rival.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think, and kind of what you're alluding to is people, all the principals, they all respect her. I think it would be hard to, and they think she would be good for the job. It's just difficult when your husband heads one of the teams.
And one of the teams at the top.
Right. So it can get pretty dicey. And how do you separate it? How do you make it that it is fair?
Well, I think, yeah.
Just kidding.
I don't have, like I said, I have no doubt in my mind that it wouldn't be fair. I don't think any of the team principals don't think that she wouldn't be fair, but I think they would use that relationship as leverage to try and make a point.
Yeah. Well, and I think when you do see Ben walk now, you see Ben walk in the paddock and go and talk to the team principals and go and shake hands, and he's up there. I think she'd kind of have to be very careful of how much she walks in with Toto, and I don't think she could. They would really have to separate that, and they are pretty good with being professional.
Yes, but and, I mean, they didn't even sit together at the event.
Yeah,
but she didn't.
It's hard.
She's not usually even really around him, anyways.
No. You might see them walk in together and then like kind of go their separate ways. But
half the time when they win a race, like he's FaceTiming her.
Yeah. True. She doesn't even show up.
FaceTime her and say thanks for the guy giving them extra penalties. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I think it'll be really good. I think she would have there's going to be obviously a huge group of people that are going to say, no, women shouldn't do it and blah, blah, blah. A woman shouldn't be in charge of a man's sport. There's going to be that group of people. I don't know if it's going to come from within the people that are actually voting, but externally.
I mean, it could. You never know. There might be purists and old buggers that feel that way. It's just unfortunately that's just the reality of sport sometimes. But we'll see. We'll see. I think she's a great candidate. I don't hear anybody else thinking about candidacy. So,
and it is all rumor right now. We don't.
It is all rumor. It seems like it's. I mean, I had one legit, that was a rumor, and I had one that it said that she was going to. So wherever that's coming from, I hope she does.
Yeah, I hope she runs. I hope she at least runs.
So yeah, exactly. I don't think that Ben should feel so comfortable in his seat that he has omnipotence over all regulation.
Yeah, I would agree.
So there's that. We can talk a little bit about Carlos Sainz comments this week. So we talked about Williams.
Yes.
So I want to kind of get your opinion on this and what you think about this. So it must have been like a little dagger in your heart, especially coming from him. But he's talking about his fans. He's talking to the Spanish media. And he's talking about how they won't see him on the podium or even the top 5 this year. So not to get your hopes up.
Yeah.
He's confident. He says that the reason he took that job at Williams was so he can help them further their program and help them get better, which I think he thinks he can do, but he doesn't expect much from his car, basically. Now, I mean, you look at the top 4, or who's the top 4, you got 8 spots, 3 podium places. He's probably not far off.
No. I mean,
we didn't expect to see 2 Alpines on the podium at the same time last year, so you never know.
Fair. You never know what will happen in Brazil. I thought his comments were like, dagger. It's like, because I mean, he did, and it's coming after finishing high with the fastest.
Oh yeah.
It's everybody's so excited. I mean, I was excited, but it is testing. But the comments were a little bit of a humble brag. Like I just took the job so I could help them. But I mean, I think he's right. I don't think we're going to see him consistently on a podium.
Oh, no.
I would be shocked if he gets 1 podium.
No. He didn't say you won't see me consistent on the podium. He says you won't see me at all. See me on the podium or the top 5 this year.
Yeah.
Those are some low expectations.
Yeah, that's why I was like,
some low expectations. Like even to make the top 5, you got to think that in 24 races, of all the things that maybe, okay, you're not going to do it in Monaco, but you might do it once.
Yeah. I think, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I think he is maybe just setting his own expectations, but or so like keeping himself regulated, maybe.
I think he thinks he's going to get one. He's just like, okay, well, I'm not going to make any promises here. I'm going to downplay it so much, but I think I've got something here.
All right. So you think he's like hoping for the best, fearing the worst, hoping for the best?
I mean, yes.
He's just like, yeah, okay.
Yeah.
He's being a realist. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I think he'll be in the top 5 at least once. I don't think he's going to be on a podium. I think he's going to be 4th or 5th.
I hope so. I mean, I hope so, especially, just that slide they took last year.
Yeah.
When it looked like they might be working their way up. I mean, the fact that we don't see Aston Martin in there at all.
Yeah.
Now, might they come up again next year or by the end of the year? Maybe. It's either their best shots somewhere in the first half of the year.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny because as you were just talking, I was just thinking somewhere like Canada, Montreal.
Yeah.
Has been a really good over the last, I would say 2 or 3 years, has been a really good track for Williams, specifically Alex Albon.
I thought you were going to say flags.
Well, that too. But it's been a good track for Williams. So maybe that's kind of one. If something happens in Monaco qualifying that he gets a good qualifying spot. We've got some changes with Monaco coming up that we'll talk about. So
the other thing, strategy is going to play huge into Monaco this year, which love it or hate it. It was mine to say it. So Monaco's been just recently mandated to be a 2-stop race. Now you have to have 2 stops. You have to change tires 3 times. Twice, but have 3 sets of tires, and they have to be at least 2 different compounds. So whether it's a medium and a hard, or being even a soft, or hard and a soft, whatever, but 3 sets of tires, 2 different compounds. So it's a mandatory 2-stop race, because obviously it's hard to pass in Monaco. So now they're just going to allow you to pass in the pit lane, which is a still pretty small pit lane as well.
Yeah.
Your pit window is going to be really small, but where you're going to put that timing is going to be huge into this.
Yeah. This is going to come down to major Monaco. Monaco was always kind of strategy more for qualifying. Monaco has now just become insane strategy on track.
Yeah.
Because it was one of the, like you said, you get ahead in the beginning, you won the race, basically.
Basically, yeah.
So, yeah.
Well, and we've seen the Williams, specifically Albon, just go on long stints on that in that car.
Yeah.
Could that be a factor where you can go on a long stint and build yourself a gap where you can maybe take that pit stop, and maybe you might be able to get out ahead. Maybe you're not going to be in first or second or third, but you can hold a 4th or a 5th, or maybe.
And we know, just kind of going back to Carlos, we know he's a good defender as well. Like he knows how to make it very difficult for someone to pass. So somewhere like Monaco where it's going to come down to strategy, and then those pit lane exits and changing of tires are going to be, down to milliseconds. Should he be in a scenario where he gets ahead of somebody, he knows how to make their life really difficult. So that's where I see, like, he could not maybe get on a podium, but I think he can finish higher up.
I think there's going to be a podium that's going to be his best chance. It's probably going to be Monaco.
Yeah. Yeah. I would agree with that for sure.
Yeah. Okay. I don't know if you want to go through this or not. Did you see the F1 Drive to Survive names? I sent them to you. I did show them to you.
Yeah.
I did also see something where it had a little synopsis of what it is. So I don't know if you want to go through that. You did see it?
I did see that. The one about Charles Leclerc is horrendous. It is so mean.
It is. But we know that Charles had a fairly good year last year, right? Yeah. All the talk was how many podiums or how many poles he gets without a win or converting to a win. We know that's not the case this year. Yeah. But we have business as usual, frenemies. Obviously going to be talking about Lando and Max in that one.
Yeah.
Business as usual, I heard, was about Lewis gets signed, how it's basically crazy. That's also where it's going to be, I believe, about this Christian Horner Red Bull scandal, which I don't know how much they're going to play out that one. Looking out for number 1, which I believe is about George McLaren. Russell and Mercedes.
Oh,
yeah.
Okay.
I believe that's what that one is. Carlos Sainz is obviously the controversy about where Carlos is going to sign and how many offers he had and where's he going to go after Lewis showed up. The curse of Leclerc is going to be about basically Leclerc. Can he pull out these wins? Can he do something like? And a lot of the folks about Monaco and I believe was it Maranello or was it Interlagos?
Monza.
I can't remember. Not Interlagos, Monza. Wheels of Fortune, I believe, is about the McLaren issue.
Okay.
Them having success, what their decision making around the drivers are, and all that stuff. In the heat of the night, I forget what that one was. Oh, that is apparently. If I don't know if you follow Kim Illman from the photographer who does a lot of F1 photography. Actually, I'm pretty much sure that's his job. So that one is about Singapore, basically the hot weather, where all this cooling system thing kind of played out, or at least the discussion came out of, and drivers going under extreme heat. It's also Daniel Ricciardo's last race. And so he had mentioned that, everybody had gone, Netflix had gone, all this stuff had gone. And a lot of the episode, especially at the end of that, where Daniel's there, is filmed off of iPhones from drivers. So a lot of the episode is going to be filmed or pulled from drivers, specifically George Russell, Gasly, Lando Norris, a couple others, and I can't remember exactly who it was. It might have been Liam Lawson. Maybe not Liam Lawson.
I was like,
no, that doesn't make sense. No. Yeah, look, guys, look.
Look.
There's Daniel. Look at me smiling.
Gonna be there,
no, definitely not that. But a lot of it has to do with that, especially because it went so late into the night with him saying goodbye and everything.
Yeah.
Elbows Out had a lot to do with Perez and Red Bull. Apparently, under new management. This one intrigues me because if you've watched, did you watch the new trailer? You watched the new trailer.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Under new management is going to be a lot about Alpine, especially Flavio Briatore coming in.
Yes. Okay.
And he says something very specific. Now it's in the trailer, so it's no spoiler. So we don't know how they cut the trailer together. We'll see what happens. But he's looking at Jack and saying, I will control every millimeter.
Yeah.
Which basically to me just made me look like, yes, my prediction that he's going to be out in 5 races. Poor Jack. But sorry.
Yeah.
But I'll be right. It just sounds to me like there's just such a grip from Flavio Briatore and what he wants.
Yeah.
That it's like, I don't trust this little shit. Why I'm just going to sign this guy that I know can perform.
Yeah. And I think it's funny that Netflix, whether, again, we don't know what the conversation is, what it's about, whatever. But I think it's funny that Netflix is also playing into the villain of Briatore. With that clip.
He was a villain and he came in and everybody's like, we don't trust this guy.
Yeah. But everybody has a good, like in the trailer, everybody kind of has a good edit. Even the people that you don't think. And then his is just like, I control everything.
Just like, the Dr. Evil. All you have to do is just put that pinky up.
Yeah, honestly.
And then Endgame is basically the finale. Who, that race for the Constructors' Championship, I believe.
Yeah.
So it's going to be interesting. I can't wait.
Yeah. I mean, I think, when our next podcast, I think the season will have started by then.
March 7th, right?
Yeah. So next week.
So,
5 days. So we will have watched the whole thing at that point. But yeah, I mean, I think it's kind of going to be what we predicted a little bit in our predictions.
Yeah.
I'm still waiting for that. It's to start with like a little tweet.
And
then
and just that thing.
Lewis in red, Lewis to Ferrari. I'm putting money on it.
Oh, I was thinking about like the little WhatsApp ding ding whatever.
Or that
and then
too.
You're just gonna have ding 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 ding, and then just complete dismay from the Red Bull camp.
Yeah. Honestly.
Yeah.
All right.
And the next one, the last one here, we got some spicy comments from Lewis Hamilton.
Ooh,
we didn't specifically.
Yeah.
But he made comments in an interview to Time Magazine. A couple of things. So one would be It's just a quick snippet. Comments were made probably like a week ago, 2 weeks ago, by Bernie Ecclestone about essentially calling Lewis Hamilton washed up and that Ferrari made a huge mistake. And his response to that with Two Time magazine, that I never ever reply to any of the older, ultimately white men who have commented on my career. And that's why I said what I said before. I was joking around. Very angry.
Very
rightfully so, I think.
Yeah. I mean, the comment was unnecessary.
I think the ultimately white men comment is a little unnecessary because there are a lot of old white men that sing his praises. Let's be honest here.
Right.
There are a lot. Bernie Ecclestone is just an idiot. And don't get me wrong, he brought Formula One partially to where it is today.
Yeah.
But he's an old, crotchety old man, and nobody actually takes whatever comes out of this man's mouth seriously.
Right. Yeah. I thought that was almost like a low-hanging fruit.
Yes.
For Lewis to pick up. Like, it just... Fine. Even if I think, like you said, it's just that one part, the old white man, I can't remember exactly what it is, but everything else, totally fine. I mean, say what you want, but it was just like, whoa, that got you. That really got to you. But yeah. I mean, and then he continues on.
Yeah, there's in another part of the article, he says, "Don't ever compare me to anybody else. I'm the first and only black driver that's ever been in this sport. I'm built different. I've been through a lot, no doubt there. I've had my own journey. You can't compare me to another 40-year-old, past or present." Kind of a dig at Alonso, probably. Yep. Formula One, especially if Alonso said that he might only last one more year.
Yeah.
Formula One driver, because they're nothing like me. I'm hungry, driven, don't have a wife and kids. I'm focused on one thing, and that's winning. Now, I'm assuming this has to be a lot to do with retirement, his age, obviously, and what he's been through. Yes, Lewis Hamilton is not the same as any other 40-year-old driver.
No.
What other driver, regardless of your age, has ever accomplished besides Schumacher?
Right.
What Lewis has accomplished. Right. And he has done it coming from basically nothing. Yeah. I mean, and being the only black driver, probably, I'm sure growing up being probably the only black driver in karting and stuff.
Yeah.
It must have been really difficult. And, absolutely. Lewis is made out of something that not many people are made out of. Yeah. To be able to deal with that and go on and succeed and just crush.
Yeah.
Kind of feels like a little bit of a dig at Max, though.
Yeah. Who's just about to have a baby.
Yeah. Right at the end. Yeah. He's got his wife. He's got his kid, or going to have his kid. And he's also made comments. I don't know how long it's going to be. Hopefully it doesn't affect my racing, blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Things like that. To me, I being somebody who predicted Lewis to win the championship, I love it.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean,
as much fuel as you can.
Yeah. You know what? I think there's something interesting about the whole thing, because I think the last couple of years that we've been watching, and, we talked about it this past year on the podcast as well, is that we've seen a lot of Lewis whining over the last couple of years, really since 2022 season. Yep. We've seen a lot of whining, complaining about, not wanting to not finish this race because the car doesn't feel good, whatever it is.
Yeah.
So this Lewis is back to Mercedes 2016, 17, like those years when he was really pushing, fighting. He had that arrogance, that confidence. So we're seeing it back. But these seem very directed. And they may not be. It just seems.
I think they are a little bit. And I don't mind it. Hey, listen, shit talking has been a part of sports.
Yeah.
For a long, long time.
Yeah.
And like you said, we've seen him just not be into it.
No.
Over the last couple of seasons. No. And whether it's because of the car, whether it's because of comments he made, because of losing the way he did in 2021, whatever it was, he just didn't seem into it. And, I think this is one of the reasons why a lot of retirement questions have come up. How long are you feel like you're going to keep going? Because it doesn't seem like you're enjoying it anymore.
No.
And now it just feels like, and I said to you just before this, it feels like the gloves are off. Now Ferrari's going to let him say what he wants to say. It feels like maybe he had I don't want to say a muzzle, but like he had to play with kids' gloves a little bit, being part of the Mercedes team and having to toe that line of what they want and what they want to say and what they do allow, don't allow, whatever. And it's kind of just like Ferrari's giving him free reign to like, hey, be yourself. And he just feels free and emboldened and competitive again.
Yeah. I mean, it'll be really interesting to see how it all plays out and how this converts. But when I read the snippets of the article, I was kind of shocked with like, just like you said, how spicy he was like he was fired up.
He's got some jerk chicken in him and he's ready to go.
Yeah, honestly. So I mean, we'll see. Hopefully this is old Lewis coming back and there won't be the let's just retire the car. First of all, Ferrari ain't gonna do that.
Ferrari's gonna tell you no.
Yeah.
Get your ass out there.
Yeah. And they'll say it in Italian, which is also no. But I mean I it's good. Fighting words, gloves off. Let's go.
Yep.
Let's go.
They did ask him this week if his engineer's gonna say it's hammer time.
Yeah, and
did you see that? And he says, "I don't know if it would sound good in Italian, so I have to find something else to say with an Italian accent."
Yeah, I thought that was pretty funny.
Yeah, and then I spent the next like 20 minutes trying to say it with an Italian accent, and I couldn't get it.
No.
No, I'm not going to try it here.
Well,
no, I'm still not going to try it here. No, you're waiting for it. I'm not going to do it. I almost did. It's going to turn out to like some like Super Mario thing, which would inevitably be more offensive than I wanted it to be.
Or Jamaican or something like that.
If it comes out, what am I, Joey Tribbiani? It's going to come out Jamaican when I think I can do an English accent.
Yeah.
Anyways, so that's all the news I had today. I think that's pretty much all we had today.
Yeah. I just had kind of the last few days of all of this preseason testing, even kind of from the F175. We've seen a couple comments from George Russell. We're not going to go into them, but it's nothing horrendous either. But I just had a random hot take, and if we want to add it to my predictions, sure, whatever. I just think George Russell is going to have a very difficult year. I don't know why. There's an aura of like, I don't know. I feel like he's going to have a difficult year.
I know exactly what you're thinking.
And in the media, and
I think he has an aura of, I don't want to say superiority, but he knows he's the number one.
Yeah.
Number one.
Yeah.
At least in his mind.
Yeah.
And as soon as things don't go his way, he is going to be the tantrum prince.
Yes.
Like kicking and screaming.
Yeah.
So when Kimi gets something and he doesn't for some whatever reason, it's just track position or whatever, he's gonna say, well, why are we doing it that way? Why does he get it? I think there's gonna be a lot of complaining into the media. I think you're right.
I think we're like, it's gonna be, and it's not that anything crazy happened over the last couple of days, but there's just something that he seems very on edge. Like, he didn't love the jokes that Jack Whitehall was making, or like
he was not like, it's comedy, like, and he just sat there like, I will stab you in this.
Like, and then he kind of brought up the Max stuff again this weekend. It wasn't the weekend, but I keep saying that.
I know.
And it's just, I have a feeling George is just going to struggle a little bit. And I don't want to wish that on anybody, but I just
it's not wishing it. I think we're going to go from seeing George Russell to Georgie.
Georgie. That's cute. Yeah. That's cute. But I get it. I know what you mean.
Yeah, I know what you know.
Yeah. Oh, God. All right. Well, that was just my random hot take. So
I'll add it. No problem.
So
if it gets me a point, it's fine.
Right. All right. So we are done for today.
Done, yeah.
And we will be
And we're back on Mondays.
Yes, Mondays.
We are back on Mondays for all those people that message. Well, it wasn't really. It was one person. Message me, oh, where's my fresh set on a Wednesday? If you followed us on Instagram, and I know you don't have Instagram, but if you followed us on Instagram.
Yeah. This is a directed comment.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, we'll be back on Mondays because season's starting up. I guess next week we're gonna maybe talk about Drive to Survive.
We got some, Drive to Survive games. And some fun stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. But in the meantime, catch up on all of our episodes on YouTube, Spotify, Amazon Music, Apple Podcasts at Fresh Set Podcast. And you can also find us on socials, on Instagram, TikTok, and X. Also at Fresh Set Podcast. Follow, like, subscribe, share. I don't know, rate, auto downloads.
Comment. Yeah.
Comment, whatever you want to do.
All of it.
Yes, all of it.
Not whatever you want to do, all of it.
Do all of it on all the platforms.
Do it now.
And we will see you guys next week.
Yep, grab a fresh set.
Bye.